Terry, let's start with you. Dom Smith is now likely a bench guy with his current team. How do you as a manager convince a young player he still has an important role coming off the bench?
Well, certainly he's going to. It's a huge role, but it's hard to explain sometimes. You know, Dom's going to take a look at what he did last year, and he's probably in his mind he's saying, you know what, gosh, if I'd have got more consistent at bats, I might have done better. And those are all things you got to take into consideration. But you've got to go back and say, hey, look what you did in 2020. We think you can still do that, even though it was a shortened season, and have a big part. And I used to tell a lot of my young guys when I knew that they weren't getting a lot of playing time. When you get the opportunity to get in that lineup, you have got to be ready to play. And I would direct him to one of those veteran bench guys who've done it over their careers and teach him how to prepare himself and how to get ready on a daily basis, because they make a difference in the long season.
Reck, what's your confidence level in Dom Smith bouncing back in 2022?
I'm fairly more confident in Dom Smith, I think, than most. Just seeing what Dom did in 19, I'll even go back an extra year, because he was pretty much a bench player that year. Even though he got in 89 games, most of it was as a pinch hitter. He actually had the same number of at-bats in his 89 games in 19 as he did in his 50 games in 2020. But it was incredible what he was able to do basically as a part-time player. And then to come out in 20 and put up the numbers that he did, this guy can hit. He can flat out hit. I think if he gets his mind right and he's got the right information, he's able to use it properly in the games, I think he's going to come out and he's going to be able to put up big numbers, even if it's not in a consistent role. But we know injuries always play a part coming out of spring training. There could be a consistent role for Dom, whether it's early on, middle of the season, later on, but they got to get his bat involved early just to keep him and get him right so he is ready whenever that time does come that they need him.
Yeah, Dom finished with a batting average in the neighborhood of 280 back in 2019. And Dan, if there is a DH next year in the National League, how do you see those at-bats being distributed on the Mets?
Yeah, I don't think there's one guy in particular that's probably going to get the bulk of the workload right now. But I will say this. I think if you look at National League teams right now, the Mets are probably as well positioned as maybe any to have options that Buck Showalter will have at his disposal, probably, that he can use to DH. I mean, from the left side of the plate, we talked about a couple of them already. I mean, Dom Smith can do it. Robinson Cano, personally, my expectations are very minimal for him, but you know that they're going to give him opportunities. And then from the right side, you've got J.D. Davis. If you want to put Dom Smith at first base on occasion, Pete Alonso could even DH to give his legs a little bit of a rest. And let's not even rule out a guy like Mark Canha. He can DH as well, one of the guys they brought in to play the outfield here. So Buck Showalter will have a nice complement of players, I think, that he could be able to pencil in there for the DH.